Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry if we're a bit dark.
Yeah, Nadia couldn't cope with the light.
I've got really bad headaches, so I couldn't have the bright light.
We had a strip light that we're going to use. Should we show them what it would have looked like? Let me show you. Oh.
Okay, go on. Let me see if I can bear it. Then if
Can
I
you
can't,
bear it?
then if I can't, take it off.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. How are we all? How is everyone? Hope you're well. God, it's been a long day. How are we? Orange Jams, Nessie Jeff, Clodagh Egan. Welcome to a new member here. Who have we got? Sarah Wool.
Hi, Sarah. Welcome, Sarah Wool. Welcome, Sarah Wool.
So maybe clean your glasses because they're reflecting.
Welcome, Sarah Wool. Welcome, Sarah Wool.
Good evening, Joe Britt Knit, Lynn Sheard, Trina Cotton. Good evening. Tra-la-la. Hello. I know that a number of people can make these lives of an evening sometimes, so it's quite a nice alternative. What are we going to be talking about? Harvey Weinstein, or Harvey
God.
Weinstein, however you want to call him. How do you pronounce this?
Weinstein.
He has been essentially his conviction of rape in New York has been reversed or has been appealed, and essentially has to go back to court. So essentially, he's been in appeal vanquished. So we're going to talk about that, what the implications for him coming back out. We're going to be checking out some of the footage of the wild horses that went charging around London, two of whom have been quite severely injured since. We're going to be talking about Kanye or Yeezy's next business move, which is a curious one. Have you heard about this?
Just roughly, it involves porn, right?
Yeah, which is all very strange. Rebel Wilson has had a rap on the knuckles, and I think her book has come out. Is there anyone in Australia or New Zealand where the book is already out? They've literally redacted the pages like an FBI document.
They blacked them out, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I quite like that. But wouldn't you want to buy the book and just look at it through the light?
Hasn't she already said it anyway?
It's said. But we're going to talk about what Sacha Baron Cohen's got to say about that. He's very pleased, as are his people. She's a rebel, says Trina Cotton. She's a rebel woman. She's a rebel. And what else? And that's it. We're going to talk about all those. But first, we're also going to talk about in the Israel-Gaza conflict. We want to talk at the top here about the protests that are spreading across American university campuses. And this is a significant story because, as some commentators have noted, the only time these sorts of things have happened in the past have been around things like Vietnam and civil rights demonstrations. And whenever there have been peaceful protests in the past, they've invariably been, I hate to use the phrase, on the right side of history, and they've invariably achieved the thing they set out to protest against.
I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime, or have I? And I've forgotten.
Stacey Randall, congratulations! Well done, you. Share your news now if you wish to.
What is it?
I'd rather Stacey shared it. It's been a torrid, difficult journey, hasn't it, to foster fosterhood. It is fostered, isn't it? Share with us, Stacey. Tell us what has happened today, so that everyone can enjoy your news. Happy birthday, Shelley! Happy birthday, and thank you, Ashley. Ashley has just gifted 10 wonderful memberships. This is just absolutely fantastic.
Ashley, thank you.
So yes, so in terms of what's your take on the American university protests?
Well, what I've seen so far, but I have to say, it's very, very underreported in our media here. What a surprise! But from what I understand, there are.
There you go. Stacey said it for us. She was approved today to be a foster carer, and there you have it. She's had to go through an arduous, often mistake-ridden journey, haven't you, by others, Stacey? I mean, talk about having hurdles thrown in your path. So huge congratulations, Stacey. You've really had patience and you've had commitment to it. So
it's a huge thing to be a foster carer, and we need so many more of them.
Yeah, well done, sweetie. Sorry.
Yeah, so a number of universities across America, students have set up encampments in those universities to protest against the continuing genocide that is going on in Gaza right in front of everybody's eyes. Mostly the media leave it untouched. I noticed there was more stories today, very Israel bound. When anything happens, it's always right. Netanyahu is behaving like he's the president of America.
Well, he's behaving like he's the president of the world.
The president of the world.
Yeah.
He has said that what is happening on the campuses is horrific. Think about that for a second. Horrific. These are students peacefully, bravely protesting on over the brutality, over the 35,000 Palestinians dead now, 14,000 children, but of course there's still many under the rubble. They are saying enough. They are saying they want their universities to cease to invest money in Israel. What I've seen so far, but as I say, I've not really seen anything here in the media. I am watching on Instagram and the various, I think, quite reputable accounts that we follow, that there is a lot of heavy-handed behaviour from the police in America, riot squads. I saw a young man, he was held down totally flat by about 5 or 6 policemen. And then he was laid out flat, held down tight, and then there was a police officer tasering him over and over again, his legs. We've seen Fox, big news, I suppose, Fox News journalist, cameraman, was ran at by the police,
Maybe
pulled over, smashed
post
down.
something on Instagram tonight just to show, because I think a lot of this footage
hasn't been seen.
The resharing of it and the seeing of it, you know, the mainstream media obviously here has zero interest. In showing it, and American media is even more disinclined to cover it, even if it's a story.
Now, they've been trying to build that this is anti-Semitic, that there are anti-Semitic thugs running through the university.
What Biden has said.
But there has been, like today, I saw I think it was Columbia University, a tutor came out, she's Jewish. She said, in no way have I felt threatened. I feel proud of what's going on here. Our students are standing up against the brutality in Israel. But what has been deeply disturbing is the way that hundreds of our students have been arrested, have been taken away. So, what's so beautiful, I know, it's all over social media, so I find it bizarre that mainstream media is ignoring it. Exactly.
That's something, isn't it?
What I find so moving, as I have throughout this conflict, and it's building all the time, are the anti-Zionist Jewish people that are so bravely standing up against the Israeli government aggression and screaming at the top of their voices, not in my name, not in my name, not in my name. So, be careful if you have been convinced that this is a wave of anti-Semitism, across American universities. Look about, find the news yourself and see what you think. I certainly don't think it's a wave of anti-Semitism, do you?
Well, President Biden was asked by a reporter on Monday, what's your message to the peaceful protesters in our seats of education? Okay, let's not forget, these are people who are well-educated, and there's no judgment made here, but if they are well educated and they've come out, Jewish, non-Jewish, Christian, Muslim, whatever, and they've come out and they've looked at the kind of situation. They've gone, do you know what? Everyone's done. There's wrong on all sides in different ways, but on balance, this is where the protest should lie: calling for a ceasefire, stopping the occupation, recognizing Palestine as a state, and then we can all move on. I think we have to ditch this really spurious argument by Israeli government supporters, that in calling for a ceasefire, calling for a two-state solution, we're somehow emboldening and enabling Hamas. If you run with that narrative, there will never be a cessation to the hostilities ever. You have to get to a point where you go, right, we've enacted our so-called self-defense / genocide, and you say, right, enough's enough. We've pulverized this person, if it was a pub fight, into an absolute pulp. We now have to stop and discuss the next step forward. My
why I am raging in so many different ways is, I don't know if anyone saw my post the other day on Instagram, 100% of children in Gaza have had no education and have no education coming towards them. Why? Almost every school, university, has been either completely destroyed. What was that you said about Netanyahu? That what's going on in American universities is horrific. Huh? And then the ones that aren't razed to the ground, they simply can't function. How dare he tell the world that what is going on is horrific when 100% of children in Gaza, zero education.
Well, Nadia was just looking at a really, Nadia was looking at a really good post a minute ago where, Netanyahu is saying it's outrageous what's happening on these campuses in America.
He says it's horrific.
It's an absolute horrific kind of slur and anti-Semitic. Hang on a minute. How horrific is destroying every single school and campus in Gaza?
Said.
Exactly. So
How
let's just repeat. So when Joe Biden was asked about this, so these aren't your willy-nilly white supremacist nutcases running around, with the mental age of a gnat. Insult to Nat.
Interestingly, they don't send the riot police in so quickly in America for them, do they?
But President Biden said about these people who may have actually, like I posted last night, I wish Netanyahu got off his high horse, or was on one of the wild horses actually, got off his high horse. Stop thinking that everyone hates him because he's Jewish. They don't. Everyone hates him because he's inhumane.
Yes.
He's inhumane. That's why we hate you. It's not because you're Jewish. It's not even because you're Israeli.
This is not about religion. Remember, every time he uses this for absolutely everything. These are motivated, passionate, brave, very smart. As Mark says, seats of learning. These are very educated people. There are a mix. You look at all the videos. Every race is there, every religion, they are all sharing with a human heart that enough is enough. And I hope it builds and builds and builds across all the universities. I hope it takes off here as well. Young people are going to have to shift these middle-aged or octogenarian white men that have ruled everyone for far too long.
Yeah.
Preach.
It's amazing how, Oh, Trump. Oh, the Tories. Oh, Netanyahu. Privileged white men. Okay, it's just fine. So what?
I tell you what.
Hang on.
Rishi's so focused on is Rwanda.
Oh,
that's so important. Let's get people on the planes to Rwanda.
So Joe Biden's answer was, what do you say to these people? He said, I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. Hang on. He then says he denounced them as reprehensible, dangerous, anti-Semitic, with absolutely no place on college campuses or anywhere in our country. This is an absolutely sacrilegious skewing of truth. This is the end of civilization stuff. If you start to turn any kind of intellectual, educative, and analytical understanding of something from the Jewish side, from the Muslim side, from the humane side, if you start to castigate it all as anti-Semitic, you're basically opening the jaws of hell.
We are in...
You really are opening the jaws of hell.
We're already in a very scary place, but we're in a much more scary place. So even education now can be twisted and turned and used as weapons against anything that they don't agree with. Isn't that fascism?
I want to sit with Netanyahu and say, what makes you think you're smarter than absolutely everyone?
But it's always
so
stupid.
Right.
It's always stupid people that think they're the smartest people.
Yeah, it is. It's true. Stupid people think they're smart. Only very clever people realize that there's gradations of grey. It's remarkable. And the part of it all that's really, really, really depressing, and I know that there are a number of people like Greg Stoker online and various sort of campaigners and commentators on the whole crisis who've said this is a great tipping point. This is a turning point. This is when the colleges get involved, when there's peaceful protests. And don't forget, the only news you will get about these peaceful protests is when argy-bargy is happening. And the argy-bargy happens when the police come in to remove them. So
the argy-bargy is unbelievable from the police and the right that I've been seeing. It's just unbelievable, so heavy-handed.
And so my worry is as though, although there's a kind of, one has to have a cup half fulleth approach sometimes, I worry that there used to be around Vietnam, around even the civil rights movement back in the 60s, around so many other issues, there was kind of a sort of positivity or an optimism, whereas I actually worry and fear that there is such cynicism. There appears to be such a vice-like determination by the powers that be in America and here to keep the lid on this. So let's face it, what do we have here? We're definitely going to get a Labour Party. It's a Zionist Labour Party. We're definitely going to get Trump, an even more extreme Zionist support of Israel. There are no better solutions coming down the track at all. They're worse. And in fact, they are worse with the Labour Party because they pretend they're something else. and they're not. And someone said, Dina posted something a while back. Politicians in America and politicians here, like footballers have to, like influencers have to write the word ad, they should have to have on their shirts who's supporting them. So we can work out where your vested interest is. I think they should have to have a huge emblazoned, like Fuji, or Israel.
But they are supposed to. You are supposed to.
They declare them in a book that no one looks at. What they should have is they should have great big fucking advertising hoardings.
Let's see the book.
If football clubs have to do it like that, if influencers have to do it like that,
why don't politicians? But anyway,
it's educated, intelligent people who care. Oh, don't listen to them. You don't listen to experts.
Just a quick note, because Abby Reid has a friend who is part of this flotilla, and you've mentioned it a couple of times, Abby Reid, haven't you? The Freedom for Flotilla, that is quite incredible, Mark, holding 5,500 tons of aid. And I think it's made up of 3 ships, if I'm right, Abby. And the plan to raise awareness. They are in danger. There's no two ways about that. And to also get aid to
Isn't
Gaza.
their plan just to go in? Once they get there, aren't they just going to go in?
Yeah, so as Abby said, the more people talk about it, the more that people know this is going on, the safer that they're going to be. So please do have a read up of it and share as well.
And for any American,
very brave people.
And for any American followers here, the day that Steve Bannon says something you're doing is bad, you know for a fact that what you're doing is very right.
Yeah.
Okay, Harvey Weinstein. Let's talk about Harvey Weinstein.
It's called the Freedom Flotilla.
Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein has been described as cautiously excited after his 2020 rape conviction in New York. Don't forget, he's still facing 16 years for convictions in LA. After his 2020 rape conviction was overturned, a new trial has been ordered through the appeals court. They're saying that the judgment or the court case against him was unjust, and they're saying it's unjust because, and I remember at the time,
technical thing, wasn't it?
It's a technical thing, but I do remember this was mentioned at the time that he was going to appeal on this basis, and I remember thinking, why the fuck did they do this? So what they did do was they submitted evidence, or evidence was brought into the case and into the hearing that was applicable to 3 or 4 other women that weren't in this court case. And despite the fact that there was corroborating evidence or repeat behaviors, or there was enough in those kind of that evidence or that hearing that information, it was a little bit like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, where certain aspects weren't allowed to be submitted. Do you remember? And a lot of people in Amber Heard's team said if a certain journal or something else had been submitted, it would have changed the skew of the whole thing. And so basically the judgment was made, and it's felt, and the appeal is that based upon the testimonies of 4 other people who this case wasn't about, it hampered, muddied the water, and destroyed the judgment that they made based on what was in court. So it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be cleared, but it does mean that right now today, if he didn't have his convictions in LA, as I understand it, like the Bill Cosby case, he could have been let out. I think he has to come off the sex offenders register today because it's essentially been retried.
Poor women.
It's just quite something. And I don't know if you remember with Bill Cosby, this was on a technicality again there, wasn't it?
It's just absolutely, I just feel horrified.
Siobhan Jordan, I think the Californian judgment will hold too. I really do.
Yeah.
Gabrielle, why is American law so fickle? You know what? I don't think American law is so fickle. I think what happens in a lot of these cases is if you have someone with deep pockets who's willing to keep going, it's just a matter of time before you'll get someone who kind of, trips and kind of lets the light in, so to speak. So
I must at this point recommend the Ronan Farrow, Mia Farrow podcast. It is totally extraordinary, the interviews that he has with the Weinstein's victims. He is an actual genius, Ronan Farrow. Did you know that?
Well, no.
By 12,
I see. He's a diagnosed genius.
An actual diagnosed genius. Yeah. But in the way that, some super bright people can be, he's also incredibly humble and witty, and I just think I'm like this, waiting for the next podcast he does, because he's just so fabulous. So I really would recommend that, because a lot of people, the Weinstein thing went on, but they didn't really know the detail of just how fucking vile he was. It's just a brilliant podcast. I'm just trying to look for the name for it.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so by a slim majority, 4-3, it was decided that his appeal could be sort of carried, and so another.
I don't think he's
another
going
court
to
case
get
is going to
out.
happen. Yeah,
he's not.
No way. Yeah. It's all horrendous, isn't it? Fucking justice. Okay, that's Harvey Weinstein. So moving on to Kanye, or Yeezy, as he likes to be called. Kanye has announced, or has deleted, apparently, the Daily Mail is reporting, loads of his social media amid a backlash to proposals that he's revealed, or someone has revealed, that he's planning on launching a Yeezy porn studio. The reason he's pulled down loads of his social media platforms is because so many people who followed him because of his religiosity and because of his church and because of Christ and because of his actually historic statements in which he said porn addiction destroyed his family and destroyed his relationships. He admitted this in the past. It seems odd that he's now hooking up with, I believe, the partner of, or the business partner of Stormy Daniels? And the idea is that yes, here it goes. He's been communicating with adult film producer Mike Moz, who used to be married to Stormy Daniels. And it looks like essentially he's going to launch his own porn hub, which would make some sense, perhaps, of why they wander around in the way that they do.
Yeah, well, we have been talking. We're going to do a podcast on that, actually, him and his Bianca.
Yeah.
You know, Kanye. When you think about how much he's attacked the Kardashians for what they've done and what they are and what they reveal and everything, and actually, they never say anything really nasty about anyone, do they? They don't. All those exes that they've got, which poor, what's the really tall one? I can't think of her name now. Not Chloe, Coco. Yeah. Okay. You know, her husband, she's had 2 husbands that have just been appalling to her.
Right.
And they never say anything nice. I mean, and just that line there makes me just feel queasy, Yeezy.
Yeah, but Yeezy.
Porn ruined my family. It's just, that is such a personal thing. You know, it's just disgusting. And I think he's just, the contradictions constantly, you know, putting down Kim Kardashian for the way she shows her body, for this, for that, constantly telling her, wasn't he, after you left, she was going to be nothing. She was hardly going to be able to dress herself. She was this, she was that. Then to have this new wife that whether she's happy doing it or not, it's just so unsavory. So all of that is the way that I feel. I feel so conflicted about all of this with him, because I'm also really aware that he has himself said that he has bipolar 1. But then I'm also really aware that he, as Kim says, refused to take his medication. And so, yeah, you know, you stop taking your medication, you swing from this idea to that idea, and then there's all these people in the middle being taking the heat for that.
Yeah. Rumor mill has it that Bianca Censori believes, or he's kind of brainwashed her into thinking that they are in fact royalty.
Well, that is rumor. We do not know that.
But he says, "I'm God."
That's the friend
he says.
Says
he's God. He does say he's God. He even said in a brief soundbite, I think earlier today, when I think attached to this news dribbling out. He said something when asked about who he would like a threesome with. He said it would be with Bianca and Michelle Obama. He said, because I'm God, I should be able to have sex with the president's
and yet
wife.
He constantly slags off the Kardashians that I think were actually really good to him. Yeah. And he has 4 children. It's just like, come on, just rein it in. Stop showing off.
Reese, he's prepping to release a new project May the 3rd, so he's trying to garner all the attention of traffic to drive towards his project. He is aging like sour milk.
Yeah, I just think it's just unsavory, especially when he's constantly judging everybody else and pointing his finger at everybody else. It's just like...
Absolutely. So there you go. So you're going to have Kanye.
Full of yourself,
I like that. You're calling it. It doesn't make. We should use that now rather than
it's making me uneasy. Yeezy.
It makes me feel yeezy. I feel really
uneasy.
I feel really yeezy. Okay, that's Kanye. Rebel Wilson. We talked a lot about this when this came out. She couldn't publish what she wanted to publish about Sacha Baron Cohen, so she said it. in the essentially
I love
the
her.
promotional run-up. But it can't now be printed, despite her calling him I don't even think we can say it. I have to say hole. Sacha Baron Cohen's team are delighted. They feel vindicated. They feel victorious.
But would that be, and I don't know anything about
Here we go.
Publishing or the law or whatever, would that be the publishers making that decision because they could be sued?
Yeah, I mean, this is what Baron
I feel
Cohen,
like she would have gone ahead whatever and got sued.
Yes, I think she would have done. But Baron Cohen's team said, quote, HarperCollins did not fact-check this chapter in the book prior to publication, and they took the sensible but terribly belated step of deleting Rebel Wilson's defamatory claims once presented with evidence that they were false. Printing falsehoods is against the law in the UK and Australia. This is not a peculiarity, as Miss Wilson said, but a legal principle that's existed for many hundreds of years. This is a clear victory for Sacha Baron Cohen and confirms what we said from the beginning, that this is demonstrably false in a shameful and failed effort to sell books. I mean, regardless of what he's sort of the truth of that and the legalities of that, he's really going in for a kicking there, isn't he? In a sort of the most sort of...
Oh, it's... yeah, I think of her.
Yeah. It's almost as dismissive of the peace protesting in universities across America.
We haven't got a clue.
No,
what the truth of this story. We haven't got a bloody clue. And she strenuously denies it all. But I can't help it. I just really like Rebel Wilson, and I'm just... My own decision.
What do you think, guys?
I'm going with Rebel.
What do you think? Go on, Rebel.
Who knows? How could any of us know?
What are you, Team Rebel? It's selling a lot of books, says Rock. I mean, just to get the book, as I say, to have the redacted
you're gonna
pages.
Want the book. It's a souvenir book with the redacted. I
promise you, some people are going to try and hold it to the light, thinking that the publishers might have kept the print.
I bet you we still haven't heard the end from Rebel. Because Rebel has said that she's had many other people contact her.
Oh, she did, didn't she?
Yeah. So whether that's true or not, we don't know. But if she has, you know, if you cross a lot of women that absolutely know a truth, it can be quite a scary thing. They might all decide to come together. We don't know.
It's like a netball team.
We don't.
Jesus Christ. Okay. And let's finally talk about the horses
nobody knows the truth of this story, but everyone's saying rebel, rebel, rebel.
Yeah, rebel, rebel. Rebel. What's the song again?
Rebel, rebel. She da 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 da. Don't know.
Okay, yeah. This made me laugh. Yesterday, of course, we've got huge concern and care for the horses in this story. So one isn't making light of what has happened to these poor cavalry horses that went on the charge through London. And we're going to show you some footage of it, which I'm sure you've seen everywhere.
They've blurred it out everywhere now, the blood. Have we blurred it out?
Well, it's from the BBC this morning. So, but this is interesting. I didn't realise this. Is it the Evening Standard? Yeah, the Evening Standard. Apparently, Metro. There were 2 signs yesterday that potentially we are all heading towards Armageddon.
Right.
We literally had blood-soaked horses from the apocalypse, riding through London on a
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, but hang on, a pale white
steed,
shocking. Or as Turner painted it, was the white steed of death or something. At the same time, Big Ben stopped bonging.
Really?
Big Ben stopped. So, of course, many people on social media have said these are 2 signs that the end of the world is happening in London.
I love social media.
Yeah, no, exactly. Behold, there were white horses, hooves and chests covered in blood. And at the same time, the clock on Big Ben stopped at 9 a.m. Its bongs not ringing out.
Oh, those poor horses.
It's quite significant, isn't it? But anyway, 2 of the horses. The weirdest story I found about this, though, is this. In the LBC, they say runaway household cavalry horse Vida. The way they've done this headline, it's like, has history of being spooked and kicked soldier in the head during coronation. It's almost like they're telling, it's almost like so it got what was coming to it.
It's interesting they've blurred out the blood on television. Come the afternoon, we weren't allowed to show it on Loose Women's Blood. People were finding it so upsetting.
Watch at the end of this. What's actually going on?
The way it's not Oh my God!
Runs into the side.
If you were in that cab, you just wouldn't believe it, would you? I mean, it's just so shocking.
Reese says, I don't think anybody shouted "Get out the way" as they galloped around Aldwych. I think everyone. I mean, one would be
you wouldn't believe it, would you? I mean.
Yeah, like the elephant in Montana the other day. You would just kind of watch it just stampede all over you. I'd be like, oh my God. Yeah. But anyway, so 2 of the horses are seriously unwell, which I think we know in the land of horses isn't a good sign.
Did any of them get knocked? They didn't get knocked over though, did they?
No.
They bashed into things.
They bashed into things. I think 5 people were
Bless
not
them.
seriously injured. But yeah.
Terrified. They're
terrified.
Absolutely terrified. Bless them.
3 cavalry officers were also injured in the incident. All humans are expected to make a full recovery.
And it was like Denise was saying today, you know, she went a few years ago, she went to where the cavalry, you know, the stables. She said, these horses, I don't think it was the cavalry, it was police. She goes, they are loved like their own children. They are so well looked after. So I think it would have been just horrendous for their riders as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, as they said, a statement from the cavalry said, of the 7 horses which were spooked, 5 tried to bolt. Vida, Trojan, Quaker, and Tennyson all broke loose. Someone's going to find a connection. Did Tennyson write a poem about the end of the world? I think he might have done. 2 of the injured horses were operated on last night, with 1 transferred to an equine hospital. All remaining horses are being observed.
So how were they got in the end? That's what I haven't seen. I mean, presumably they had to tranquilise them. I haven't seen anything about that.
How they were
and when you think about that, that's such a huge part of the story.
Really
how
is.
did they? Yeah. How did it come to an end?
Yeah, I agree. They are prey animals acting naturally and running in fear.
Didn't have enough time to look into that.
But is it a portent? Is it a portent? Is it the day?
Does anyone know? Does anyone know how they stopped? What happened in the end?
It's the full moon. It's the Scorpio full moon, and the clock stopped, and we got the fucking 4 horse riders of the apocalypse.
That was yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Thank you for that. They missed the day by a
one
day.
was on YouTube.
One was subdued by pedestrians. Wow.
Really?
Horse whisperers.
We know somebody like that. Our friend Rachel would have gone in, wouldn't she? She would have gone and stopped it.
Yeah, when Maddie was thrust onto a Bedouin horse, she calmed the horse down, didn't she?
She ran after the Bedouin horse.
Yeah. She did this. She went.
She did.
Really
but we were going, oh my God, that's our daughter on a horse. Bye. And then she just went and got the horse. Yeah. So brave. Because when they're scared, wow.
Okay, guys. Well, there you go.
Has anyone seen that video online of that rhino chasing that safari jeep?
Good on it.
It went on and on the chase. Again, we didn't know how it ended. It was like
maybe
it
animals.
Was extraordinary.
Maybe animals have had enough of us.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Maybe they're just like, sling your hook, guys. You've destroyed the planet.
The planet's had enough.
Apparently, Married at First Sight, Jack and Tori final vows is happening as we speak. So we should go. Oh
God, had so much tea on that today with Denise, and so much tea about Vanderpump and everything.
Did you show her your below deck T-shirt?
She was we had full on gossip today.
Oh,
it was a
nice.
gossip. It was great. And Ida, Robbie Williams' wife, was back. She hasn't been back 5 years, and it was really lovely actually. Really? Christine Lampard. So if you missed the show, have a look. God. It was great. It was good fun.
Good God, Christine Lampard was there.
I told her again how much you love her. Do you know what Ida said today? She said it was so nice because Denise obviously is sober. Me and you. So she said it was really nice, like 3 people that knew about addiction. And then I was saying, and even like Christine is so open to it. I say, because Mark to this day still talks about how lovely you were when he came on the show.
She
goes, he's so funny though, isn't he? I said, oh, he is.
What funny, like odd?
Very bad crush.
Like funny, what funny, like strange?
Because we were saying how clever you are, but she was also saying, but he's also very funny. That's the other thing about him.
Okay, well, I'll take that one. Thank you very much, Christine, wherever you are.
That wasn't on the show, by the way. That was backstage.
Oh, was it?
So you won't see it on the show, sorry.
All right. So you could have made it up.
No, I didn't make it up. Right. Text her, ask her.
All right, come on, give us a number. All right, guys, have a lovely evening. Lots of love. See you in the morning. See you tomorrow. Mwah.